One unscripted moment on a New York stage turned three artists into myth. Kanye says the 2009 VMAs were in a meltdown. They were a move in a bigger game, one that protected some, punished others, and kept the truth buried. Was he exposing a system or rewriting the story to fit a legend? Let's rewind the tape and then press into what was whispered after the lights went down.
There's a part in a Rock Nation contract that says that people are not allowed to sing about Christ. So I'll be wondering, I'll be like, yo, God, why? Why have you swung my sword?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you came in the game with Jesus Walsh.
Like, why?
The room was loud until it wasn't. Taylor Swift, 19, stunned, clutching the Moonman, had the mic for barely a breath before Kanye took it and dropped the sentence that launched 1,000 headlines. The audience split between gasps and boos. Taylor's face locked into the kind of freeze that turns into a meme. Beyoncé looked stunned in her seat, hand to mouth, eyes wide. Hours later, that clip was everywhere. Years later, it still is. And then the narratives began to calcify. Taylor, the blindsided newcomer. Beyoncé, the gracious veteran. Kanye, the unhinged disruptor. That's how the world framed it. But that's also where Kanye says the framing worked exactly as intended. The story you know is the one you were handed. But whose hands built it? Kanye's recounting over the years has never been quiet. In his telling, that moment didn't just happen, it was nudged. He says industry players wanted a spectacle that could be spun. And once the backlash turned nuclear, he was left holding the bag, while others got to look clean. He points to a world of pressure deals and quiet conditions. Sign this. Don't say that. Keep faith talk out of frame. Smile for the camera. Trust the machine. Some fans saw a pattern immediately. A loud critic of the industry says no, then watch the headlines roll in questioning his stability, his impulse control, his sanity. The implication is the real punishment isn't public booing. It's the slow burn of being cast as unreliable so that any future reveal gets dismissed before it lands. And then came a message that made even skeptics pause. Years after the VMAs, Kanye posted what looked like a text from celebrity trainer Harley Pasternak. Quiet sit down, or as the text put it, institutionalized again, medicated, back to zombie land. Even people who don't buy conspiracies raised eyebrows at the language. The word, again, did a lot of heavy lifting. That, again, isn't hypothetical. In late 2016, Kanye was hospitalized in Los Angeles after authorities responded to a call at his trainer's place. He was taken to UCLA for evaluation amid reports of stress and exhaustion. Kanye has said he was wrongly diagnosed and dosed heavily. Whether you believe his exact account or not, the timing, the text, and the history formed a triangle that kept fans asking, how much pressure do stars face when the narrative slips out of the frame? And then there's the case everyone uses as a reference point when control and celebrity collide. When Britney spoke in court, the word that pierced through everything was lithium. She said her life was steered, restricted, and medicated in ways that didn't feel like care. Her testimony didn't just trend, it reset the way people talk about conservatorship and control.
Look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me.
Kanye's supporters connected dots. He said he was pushed toward powerful meds.
And they when I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount.
Britney said she was put on them. Both were framed as unstable at pivotal times.
Right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look at
they would have Michael Jackson.
Is that proof the same playbook gets used? Not on its own. But it explains why this sounds too wild stopped being the end of the conversation.
Look at what they did to Britney. When she went in, she was tired, she was exhausted, she was in a bad way. But 10 years of that medication wrecked her brain. You can see it now. You can see there's not much of her left.
And if that's the lens, the VMAs moment becomes less about a rude interruption and more about a pressure point. Watch the tape again with a different question. Who benefited from the edit? Kanye interrupts Taylor. Beyoncé looks horrified. The show lurches forward. Later, Beyoncé brings Taylor back to finish. Gracious, poised, in command of a room that loves a redemption beat. You could teach an entire PR class with just that sequence. In one version of events, it's exactly what it looked like. Beyoncé didn't know. She handled it flawlessly. Kanye went off script. In another version, the moment gave the audience a clear protagonist, a clear antagonist, and a queen who didn't have to lift a finger to look like one. Both readings exist. Which you choose says as much about you as it does about them. But this isn't just about three megastars. It's about a culture that worships mystery symbols and hidden hands. The Illuminati obsession didn't pop up with these artists, it's older than that. But modern pop turned it into a full-color guessing game. The triangle hand sign, one eye through the fingers, a lyric that sounds like code, a frame that looks like a sigil. Put it on a global stage, and you've got both spectacle and evidence. Explanations tend to be less thrilling. Branding, choreography, a pose that simply photographs well. Still, the rumor ecosystem thrives because it connects power with pattern. It's not that every symbol is meaningless. It's that meaning without context is a conspiracy theorist buffet. People will fill blanks with whatever fits their favorite story arc, especially when the artists are as massive, magnetic, and guarded as these three. That's the climate. Now add contracts, money, and the quiet clauses most viewers never hear about. Record deals, management agreements, tour insurance, sponsor obligations, they're packed with landmines. Morals clauses, non-disparagement, NDAs, timing commitments. No surprise stunts, no political rants. Sometimes there's wiggle room, sometimes there isn't. That's before you hit the informal pressure. Cool it on religion for this campaign. Don't poke that brand partner. Let the crisis PR cycle do its job. Kanye has claimed he was pushed to sign a deal he found spiritually unacceptable and that he paid the price for refusing. There's no public document that confirms an anti-faith clause. Treat that as his allegation, not evidence. But it tells you where his head was. He believes the biggest rooms don't just shape art, they shape speech. And when speech doesn't conform, the machine doesn't negotiate, it labels. When an artist becomes the person who might blow, watch for three levers. Framing, clip selection, headlines that isolate the most chaotic 10 seconds. Expert chorus, think pieces about erratic genius syndrome, recycled B-roll, recycled diagnoses. Future discounting. By the time the person tries to tell a long story, the audience's trust is pre-eroded. Oh, him again. Now map that onto 2009 forward. Kanye's hospital stay. The nightly news cheer-ins, the endless talker segments. The hospitalization itself is on the record. The meaning assigned to it, that's where the battle lives. But for every they set him up supporter, there's a he did this to himself skeptic. Story A. Kanye acted out on live TV. Beyonce looked truly shocked, then saved the night by sharing her moment. Taylor was humiliated. End of story. Story B. The industry wanted drama to serve a few clean images, grace, innocence, and a lightning rod. Kanye took the blast. Everyone else walked away unsinged. A decade and a half later, media retrospectives still treat that sequence as a hinge moment for all three careers. Taylor has described how surreal and painful the night was for her. Beyoncé's gesture is now framed as historic grace. Kanye's outburst remains shorthand for chaos. If one night can stamp an identity, what happens when the people involved keep crossing paths? Years passed, and the Kanye-Taylor storyline mutated. There were apologies, glimpses of reconciliation, then a fresh flashpoint with Famous, and the lyric that reignited the feud. Kim's posted clips, Taylor's clapbacks, a cultural tug-of-war that never quite ended, only changed shape. Every new beat made the 2009 interruption feel less like an isolated oops and more like the first domino. If you want to keep audiences glued, you don't need to invent anything. You just re-ask the question, what really happened that night, and show what it did to everyone after. But an unsolved story needs more than fuel. It needs believers. 3 reasons keep views climbing: mystery with receipts, power and pattern, personal stakes. There's enough on tape to replay, recut, and reinterpret. People expect the most powerful figures to move behind curtains, and fans build identity around these artists, defending their favorites' narrative like family. Every new scrap, a rumor, a DM, a stray lyric feels seismic. The story is less what happened and more what this says about how fame works. And nothing flips belief like a chilling message or a hospital record. Here's what's on paper or tape without the spin. The interruption happened. Beyoncé later shared the stage so Taylor could finish. Kanye was hospitalized in 2016 after authorities responded at a private residence. Later, he posted a message referencing being institutionalized again. Britney's testimony about lithium exists in the public record. Notice what's not on paper for the public: a clause forbidding Kanye to speak about faith, a signed plan to script the VMA moment. Those are claims, not verified documents. Keep that distinction clear. It protects your credibility and keeps the story compelling without crossing the line. Now let's talk about how crisis teams craft the good optics version of chaos. The playbook is simple. Contain, redirect, close the loop. Contain, limit who talks, tighten the circle. Redirect, emphasize the dignified actor. Replay the smile, the hug, the gracious beat. Close the loop. Deliver a feel-good finish so viewers don't go looking for a darker one. From a narrative standpoint, Beyoncé inviting Taylor back was the cleanest possible patch. It didn't erase the damage, but it rewrote the emotion in the room. You could feel the audience exhale. The clip became teachable. How to control the narrative when live TV goes left. If you're crafting image, it's a masterclass. If you're Kanye, it's the point where you say the mask slipped. And what about the audience at home? They got something even more addictive. A story with heroes, a villain, and unanswered questions. Shock plus ambiguity equals replay value. If a moment is shocking and the motives aren't fully explained, the brain loops it. Fans defend their version of events even against evidence. Skeptics dismiss evidence if it threatens their frame. Every new rumor feels like the missing piece. It rarely is, which is why you click again. This is how a single interruption becomes a 15-year franchise of think pieces, lyric dissection, and what really happened videos. Which brings us back to the triangle. Kanye's claims, Beyoncé's grace, Taylor's shock. Reality 1, the unscripted disaster. Kanye acted impulsively, driven by a sense that Beyoncé's work was being snubbed. He regrets it, apologizes, backtracks, then vacillates in later years. Beyoncé, blindsided, makes the best of it by sharing her moment with Taylor. The rest is fallout, ego, and time. Reality 2, the calibrated storm. There was pre-show chatter. The industry knew Kanye could become a moment, and the aftermath was planned to make one star look magnanimous, another look innocent, and one look unhinged. When Kanye refused to play along long-term, especially around faith or control, the machine labeled him and kept him in the penalty box. Both are internally consistent. Only one can be fully true. And without a transcript of a pre-show huddle or a contract that says the quiet part out loud, the answer stays unsolved. So what does that leave you with? The interruption and Beyoncé's onstage olive branch are facts. Kanye's hospitalization and where it happened are facts. The posted message referencing institutionalized again exists. Britney's lithium testimony is publicly documented. The Illuminati frame is a cultural phenomenon that latches onto powerful figures. Everything else, motives, private clauses, who knew what and when, is allegation, interpretation, or vibe. And rumor, in the age of clips, is gasoline. Because it isn't only about facts, it's about meaning. Did that night mean that some artists get protected? Did it mean that you can be reshaped into a cautionary tale for stepping out of line? Did it mean that faith talk has to be dressed down to be palatable? If you answer yes to any of those questions in your own life, the VMAs moment becomes a symbol of a bigger fight. And symbols don't die when facts get fuzzy. So where do you land? If the 2009 stage was spontaneous, Kanye's later claims are the hard edge of a man who can't stop reliving his worst decision. If it was choreographed at some level, then he was a lightning rod who took the full shock while others stayed insulated. Either way, one artist was humiliated on live TV. One artist salvaged the night with grace, and one artist became a permanent question mark. The reason you're still here, still listening, still thinking about it? Because the tape exists, the hospital record exists, the text exists, the testimony exists, and the missing piece probably never will. The simplest story is Kanye lost it. The simplest counter is they set him up. Reality is almost always messier, and messiness is bad TV. Which is why this clip still runs. It's short, it's clean, and it lets everyone decide who they are by which side they choose. Maybe Kanye was right about the pressure. Maybe Beyoncé handled chaos like a pro because she truly didn't see it coming. Maybe Taylor had to transform public pain into art just to take the sting out of the replay button. All three can be true at once. What's left is a moment that built careers, bent reputations, and taught the internet that doubt is a bottomless well. So, what do you see when you watch the tape? A careless stunt? A calculated ladder climb? Or a culture that rushes to crown heroes and villains because unsolved makes us itch? Tell me below. And if you want more unfiltered dives into the stories that shaped music, subscribe. Next up, we're pulling threads on another "it couldn't have been a coincidence" moment you thought you had figured out. Who do you think's gonna be the next person in the limelight? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest celebrity news and updates. I'll see y'all on the next one.